Oh my goodness. You're in an argument. You are in a massive fight, a epic battle with your spouse right now. You guys are going back and forth with the yelling and it's nasty. You don't even like this. You don't want no parts of this. You don't even remember how you got here. All you really know is that you don't like any of this and you want it to be over. But you have all this anger. What are you supposed to do with all this energy? How do you stop the fight when all you feel like doing now is fighting? And yes, this lesson is technically for men and women, but between the two of us, gentlemen, you already know what it is. We are the ones who are going to have to be more in control during this section if this is what you're going through right now. And you really don't know what to do. But you're in luck. You came to class. You hear a balance of power. So of course, I got you with today's lesson. What do you do with all that anger? Let's get it in. So wasting no time, I'm going to give you 3 quick solutions, 3 quick fixes on what to do if you are in that situation. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, so ladies you can listen to, but gentlemen, you know what it is. If you're feeling that thing that Bill Burr talked about where he said he just wants to roll his wife up in her yoga mat and put her behind the couch so she's just back there. If you have all that energy, all that fight, that anger, what are you going to do? 3 quick solutions. I'm going to tell you what they are right now. We're going to go into detail. So the 3 are breathe, bounce, and breaker box. And at the end, they're probably going to give you a bonus as well. It bees crazy round here. Dad joke, whatever. Bees. But this is not a comprehensive list, gentlemen. This is not everything that you could possibly do. This is just 3 quick things to get you by. If you want in-depth things, we can go into longer videos later. And some of these subjects I've already planned for a longer video to be. When we get to Breaker Box, you'll understand. But for the most part, this is just something right now because some of you need this inmediatamente. So go on with the first one. Breathe. Create a pause in the whole scenario. One of the first things you need to do in order to calm things down is to slow things down. So you need to actually either literally breathe, so you take deep breaths. So while she's all up in your ear, you just literally take a deep breath in and let it out. And yeah, it might seem corny, but slowing down the pace of things slows down your heart rate, slows down all the adrenaline running through your body. It slows everything down so you can start to remain calm. You can pull it back in. You can cool it off a little bit. So that's literally taking a breath to create this pause, or sometimes you might have to ask for a pause. You might have to be like, hey, wait a minute, baby, time out, time out, time out. Can you just not talk for just give me 30 seconds. Just give me a little bit of time. And gentlemen, don't be afraid to ask for this. This is necessary. You are asking for something to do something for her and for you, for the team. The team needs at least one of us to be calm, right? And yeah, ideally, both of you should be calm, but in case of emergency, break open glass, and behind the glass is the leader of the relationship. Sorry, gentlemen, but that's you. You signed up for this. Hey, that's how the game go. So that means you got to step forward first and calm everything down. So yeah, ask for a timeout if you need to. Ask her to not talk for 30 seconds. And it might be 30 seconds, it might be 30 minutes. Don't trip on having it be a small amount of time, because you might need just 30 minutes to get away from it, especially depending on how heavy the conversation is. Are you arguing about, I don't know, some jealousy type stuff, or is it something small like, I don't know, you forgot a loaf of bread when you went to the grocery store, or she didn't do something that she was supposed to do, or he didn't do, whoever you are in the scenario, whatever happened, that will determine how hot the situation is and how much time you might need in this break. So pause, just breathe. Let the wine breathe, let the track breathe, let the situation just breathe a little bit. So, gentlemen and ladies, but gentlemen, if there's a situation in which she's not going to let you take a break, if she's not going to let it breathe, if she's like no and she keeps talking and you're trying to take a deep breath and it's not working because she's still all up in your ear, you ask for a timeout and she's like, nah, F you, blah, 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 finger guns and everything, then you're going to have to move to the next one, which is bounce. Now, for the uninitiated, to bounce means to leave, to actually leave the building. Now, I know in this video, we talked about if you're in a situation, in an argument, and you're trying to make things right with your girl, to not leave, to like let her go into another room and you sit outside the door and all that other stuff. Nah, not with this. This is a completely different situation. When the situation gets so hot and you're trying to create that breath, trying to create a pause, and that's not working, you might have to just bounce. You got to leave the building. You got to drive off. You got to take off. You got to go for a walk. Don't be afraid to leave. This is a very, not just effective thing, it's something that might be required depending on how hot the situation has gotten. So you need to create actual physical distance. So if you're going for a walk, keep walking. I don't know, stay gone for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. Take a drive. Now, depending on how you function when you are upset, again, man or woman, if you can't drive safely when you're upset, go for a walk, jump in an Uber, go somewhere where there's public transportation and you get on a bus, just dip out. Just make sure you're safe while doing it. So during this time, something that's very important is to not just create space and distance, not just leave the situation physically, but also don't have any contact. Nah, none. No calls, no text, no nothing. Now, this is hopefully should be something that you two set up amongst yourselves. Like, yo, if I leave the house, if I gotta leave, if you gotta leave, let's just not call each other, not talk to each other. Because one of the things that tends to happen in couples fights in situations like this is one person will leave to escape and the other person will be blowing up the phone, will be calling, texting, and the fight is still continuing. It's just continuing in a digital form instead of physically right in front of you. So hopefully that gets set up. Now, if the person doesn't listen, they still want to keep chasing, they still want to keep fighting, if you're the one who left, don't contact them. Don't answer the phone, put it on silent. You don't have to block them. That'd be like a little too much, and you don't want to do things that causes more fights later. So just put the phone on silent. Don't listen or read any text, none of that. No texting, no calls, just block it all out. Put the bad boy on silent, airplane mode, whatever you got to do. Keep it in your pocket, but bounce and no contact. But while you're doing this whole no contact and you've actually left, you just bounced up out of the house, how long should you stay gone? You might be wondering that. How long? Is it 1 hour, 2 hours? How long is long enough? You're going to do what I call the worst case thought test. So what this means is you're going to think to yourself while you're out on the bus or driving or walking or whatever. If you think you're ready to come back, think about the absolute worst thing that this person could say to you. Think about if they said the coldest, most jacked up thing that they could say to you, and in their coldest, meanest tone. If they said it right then, and you could hear it, and then you could take it and still be calm, okay, then it might be safe enough to go back home. But if you concoct some jacked up statement in your head and you hear it in their coldest voice and it hurts you and it makes you want to fight and it keeps your energy up, then you're not ready to go back home. Why is this? Sadly, and again, mostly for the fellas, if you've been in relationships long enough, this might have happened to you a few times where words you've said in the past, information you've given your lady, just anything can and will be used against you in the court of battle when it comes to her being mad at you and feeling like she's justified and saying the most cold, jacked up, cold thing she possibly can.
They start thinking of shit you're sensitive about, maybe you don't get along with your dad, and in their head they just start concocting this evil statement. Totally designed, this desperate Hail Mary attempt to make you so fucking mad, you just call them a...
I know I said cold twice. I can't even think of words. Because if you've been in the situation, you already know what it is. It sets you on fire. Just crazy things can come out of the mouths of people who say they love you. And granted, they might, but homie, sometimes, yo. So you really gotta test yourself by hearing the most cold thing that you can in their voice said to you. Now, if it's something that you've heard in the past or something that they say all the time that you get into a fight that you know presses your buttons, because they probably know exactly what buttons to push to set you on fire in a bad way. So if that's not something you can handle, then you can't come back home yet. And sometimes, hey, you might have to stay gone for the whole night. It's possible. And I know especially for the ladies, they're like, what do you mean you're going to stay gone? Hey, we are doing this to make sure that the team stays intact. Sometimes I might have to not be around you for the team to stay intact. And here's a tip, gentlemen and ladies. Ladies, this one is directed a little bit more towards you. Gentlemen, sometimes you might be stupid on this too. But ladies, y'all be acting like this is not a problem and it doesn't exist. But if you are going to stay gone, make sure you go somewhere that is safe and neutral. And when I say safe, I don't mean physically like, oh, you're in danger. I mean relationship safe. I mean, don't go to an ex's place and stay on their couch, even if an ex is the friend. No, it needs to be completely clean, void of any kind of relationship, hot topics, red flags, anything like that. Now, this is not a situation where you can say to yourself, well, this person is a friend. This is fine. They're not a red flag because I don't think they're a red flag. It ain't about whether you think they're a red flag. What does your person think? What does your spouse think? What is your significant other? Is your significant other bothered by this friendship that you have with this person? If they are, that's not the place to stay for the night with no contact when you're already in beef. Hail to the mother. Nah. That is a no. You need to stay at a family member's house, like your brother, your sister, blood relative. And if they're a friend, it better be like a friend who's married. And you stay on a couch somewhere in a guest room, something that is neutral, something that won't throw off the psyche of the person who's at home wondering where you are. And if you are going to stay gone, that is when you do send a text. You send a, hey, I'm still upset. I think I'm just going to stay out tonight, sleep somewhere, and I'll see you in the morning. Now, this one is up to you, this next little piece. Whether you let them know where you are or not, it's got to depend on what you set up ahead of time and who you're with. Meaning, if you set up ahead of time, yo, I'm only ever going to stay the night at some place where it's not somebody of the opposite sex, or if you're same sex, you get what I mean. Not somebody who's a relationship problem. It's going to be friends or whatever, where you basically let them know ahead of time. You might not let them know specifically exactly where you are, because if you are with someone who's about to do a roll up, meaning they are so into the fighting, they might skirt up, roll up to your friend's house, poof, 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 knock on the door. Hey, come outside. If it's gonna continue, if they know where you are, maybe, hey, you gotta let them know. You be rolling up on cats. I can't let you know where I'm at. All you need to know is that I'm somewhere safe. I'm not doing anything. I'm not with nobody else, but I need to not be around you right now. Now, some people might do a hotel room or whatever. Hey, that's cool too. But whatever it is, that part is up to you, whether you let them know where you are for the night or not. But something that's not up for debate is that you have to let them know that you're safe and that you're not coming home that night. Otherwise, now you've turned this into a completely different situation where they're upset, highly emotional, and now they're tripping like, where are they at? They left upset in the middle of the night. What if they crashed their car? What you don't want them worrying. So let them know, yo, I'm safe. I'm staying with a friend tonight. Which friend? Don't worry about no friend. Like, I wouldn't even respond back and forth. I would just send a I'm cool text, I'm safe text, and then go back to silent mode of I will see you in the morning. And then any kind of talking can be done in the morning. Now, this phase you can technically do at any of the other times. You can do it during the initial phase where you're taking a breath and you're like, let's pause for 30 minutes, or you can do it when you just bounce and leave the house. You can go do this. But no matter what, or this might be something you have to do after you've already been gone for a whole day and the fight might have continued. Because again, if you've been in relationships long enough, and those of you who are just now getting into them, good luck. Because sometimes fights can last for 3 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 weeks, sometimes 3 years. I wish I was exaggerating. Sometimes arguments, fights, beef, issues will last multiple years because it has never been resolved. And that's a whole other thing. We're not going to get into how to resolve these big old issues or whatever. Right now, it's just what to do with all this anger and how not to hurt your person emotionally or what have you. So this next piece of the breaker box of directing the energy is important. Now, the concept of a breaker box, especially if you're not from America, I don't know what other countries do with this. I know kind of what they do in Canada, but So a breaker box is a section that most people have seen in their house, in their apartment, but basically it's a space where it's created in a house for when there's too much energy in the house, too much electricity flowing through the building, that if there's too much electricity to the point where it's going to explode out somewhere, it's created a specific weak spot for the electricity to pop out and break. It's specifically breaking it at a place that's controlled. Because electricity, energy, will break at its weakest point. So you'll see in apartments and things, you probably had this happen where somebody plugged up too many things in the house, and there's too much electricity running through, too much energy, and then all of a sudden all the lights go off, and you're like, oh, someone has to go reset the breaker. So they have to pull the switch back over to turn the electricity back on because the switch popped, it broke, because basically the energy saying there's too much here. One of these things have to turn off. You have the 5 TVs on and all. You get the science, or hopefully you do. The point is, creating one of these in your own personal life on an emotional level is key. Because just like with a breaker box, the point of it is that if there's too much energy running through, it's going to pop out. If there's no breaker box, it's going to pop out in areas that you don't want it to. If there was no breaker box in your house, let's say the wiring that's connected to your TV is the weak spot. So electricity will just pop up out of your TV, or the wiring in your refrigerator is where the weak spot is. It'll pop out of your refrigerator. It'll electrocute people. It'll start fires. Electricity, energy exploding in places that you don't want it to. That's how you end up slapping somebody on TV and you didn't realize. If you don't create a space for you to break naturally or break in a controlled way, that's when you have problems. And there's going to be a deeper video and a longer video about that. But my point, you need to have these for yourself. So when you are checking out for your timeout or you leave the house or what have you, go do your breaker box things. And they are things that can include things like going to the gym. Me personally, I love going to the gym when things get a little too hot and heated because use all that energy to push some weight around. Hitting a punching bag. That's something also you can do where you're literally punching and hitting something and you're getting out the aggression in something that's designed for you to hit it. It's perfect. You can also build something. You can be constructive, especially if it's something that you're building with your hands. You can be chopping wood. You can be hollowing out a boat. You can be doing all kinds of different things where you are being constructive. All three of these things are ways that you are being constructive with your energy. This is transmutation, basically, where you are taking negative energy and turning it into something positive. Every time you go to the gym when you're upset, hey, you end up with muscles at the end. Every time you're hitting the punching bag when you're bothered, you're getting your hits in. You're getting some exercise. Every time you're hollowing out a boat or building something, eventually you're going to have a lot of either boats or like little figurines made or what. You're going to have something to show for it. Your energy won't be wasted. It's going somewhere and doing something that will make you feel better because you're going to feel accomplished as well as getting rid of the energy. Because again, science, energy is never destroyed. You can't destroy it. You gotta get rid of it. It's gotta transfer from one place to another. It moves location. It can change in intensity, but you can't destroy it. So you gotta do something with it. And if you don't, that's when things go wrong. And we're gonna get into this last little bit in another video, as well as more details about the breaker box. But this one is kind of key, which bleeds into the bonus of where to put this energy in this whole breaker box scenario. And that is, sometimes you got to give the energy to the rightful enemy. So this is the bonus information. What do I mean by the rightful enemy? Well, these were all techniques that I was talking about you and your person, you and your spouse, you and your significant other clashing, right? But a lot of times, these fights and things that you're clashing with your person about have nothing to do with them. It might be something that came from the outside world, meaning your job, especially using these techniques, is to make sure that you're not giving your person something that doesn't belong to them. If you were in the outside world, and by the outside world, you should know this from watching these videos, but if it's your first one, I'll give you a refresher. Outside world is anything where you're dealing with people outside of your home, outside of the four walls. And inside world is the situation where it's your family, your immediate family, as well as like your friends and your cousins and your uncles and your parents, and where you're dealing with them inside their homes. Where your primary relationship is inside homes is the inside world. Outside world is like your job, your co-workers, people in traffic. Those are outside world people. Sometimes, hell, I've seen it happen a lot, actually, over the years. I'd say a good, 45%, where outside world stuff will creep into the relationship. Meaning that you got upset because of something that somebody at work did. You got upset because somebody cut you off in traffic. You got upset because someone cut you in a grocery line and you had a beef or an argument, or you got fired, or you got a extra thing that you had to do at work that wasn't your fault, and now you have to clean up for somebody else's mess. Something where someone outside ticked you off, set you on fire, and then you come home and you give it to the people you love. And this is a mistake. This is a major mistake that people make in relationships. They feel and think, well, the people that love me and the people that I love, they're going to forgive me for any kind of anger and aggression or whatever. And so, yeah, that might happen. Everybody does it. First of all, just because everybody does it doesn't mean that it's a good thing to do. Because when you do that, basically what you're doing is giving the people who you care about the most the worst of you. You are taking for granted that they're going to forgive you or accept all your flaws and all this stuff. So the people who deserve the best are getting the worst. Is that any kind of logic? No. So switch that. Every time you get upset with somebody outside, give it to the folks who are outside. And if you can't, at the very least, when you come home, have that conversation with your people. Tell them, you know what, daddy's can't talk right now. Baby, can you, like, I need to take a break. I need to breathe. I know I just got home. I need to bounce, or I need to go, I need to go hit a punching bag. I need something. Explain to them that you are doing this and why you're doing it. Explain to them that you're leaving or going away so that you aren't allowing the negativity that you feel to spill out onto them who don't deserve that. So do these techniques, especially when the people on the inside, the people who you love, had nothing to do with this. One of the greatest things about this breaker box thing is this aspect of giving it to the true enemy, the person who actually made you upset, the person who actually deserves this person, people, situation, what have you. If it did not originate from your family, don't give it to your family. If your girl didn't make you upset, why are you being upset with her? Because you think she's just going to forgive you? Why are you yelling at your man when you're mad about your boss doing something? You think it's his job to pay for what your boss did? That's messed up. If you say you love these folks, if you say these people are the most important thing to you in life outside of God, obviously, then treat them like that. Don't just let it be something you say. Don't just talk about it. Be about it. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of work. It's real intricate and might be a little difficult. I understand. It's not the same as when you first got the person. Because as you know, acquisition is elementary. Retention is hard. So that's the end of today's lesson. Now, like I said, there are going to be a little more deeper videos that go into some of this stuff more in depth, but for the most part, that's going to be stuff that gets you by with these heavy situations where you just need quick solutions. But as far as this one though, you already know the deal. Make sure you throw them thumbs, know what I'm saying? And if you found value in this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're still a new channel. We're still growing. Some of you just got here, so welcome. We like you. So, as you like us and you subscribe, on top of that, slide this video to somebody who might need it. Now you know you love these lessons. So, come on back and click on another video. Till next time. Deuce, deuce.